What's up, everybody? It's your man J Rock, and I'm coming at you live along with my co host Siege. And this is the debut of the J Rock Show. Siege, how are we doing today, my brother?
We're doing beautifully on this opening day, Friday of SimWorld Prep. Got some games coming up in just, I believe, 5 hours from now, J Rock. We're going to have our opening tip off game on SimWorld TV. I know there already were some games that tipped off earlier today, so, we have already got the season underway, but the big event will be the opening game at 7 p.m. on SimWorld TV. But otherwise, I'm excited to be here on the show. Thanks for having me. I'm excited for the J Rock show. I'm excited. So what do we got on the docket for today?
So, today, in honor of opening night, we're going to talk about the opening slate of games tonight, kind of talk about what we think, give our picks and predictions. How's that sound, my guy?
That sounds great to me. Let's hit it.
All right. So, first up, we got Illy and Gotham 5. So, now, with Philadelphia, you know, they return, Orland Mock, Nas Hall, Jermaine Owens. They got a lot of depth at the guard and wing spots. And, the one area could see them maybe struggling with at times is long range shooting. Outside of Nas Hall, they don't have anybody really returning this year that shot the long ball efficiently last season in an abundance at the same time.
Yeah, I that might be an issue, but I think they brought on enough guys. Nas Hall will develop. Really, I think their interior game is going to be so strong with Monte and Jermaine Owens. I think they'll be fine, and I think there's too many unknowns with this Gotham squad right now. So my pick for this one's Illy.
Yeah, I go with Illy as well because they do return the Williams but with losing Mbako and Lovejoy, I think that's just too much unknown. I will go with you on that. All right, and then next up, and this I think will be my early pick for the game of the year, or very well could be the originators and the defending champ Beast of the East. So now,
Yes, sir. I'm excited for that one. If I'm not wrong, J Rock, are you that's the first game on SimWorld TV at 7 p.m. Eastern, and I believe, speaking of debuts, is that not your debut broadcast event?
yes, indeed, I believe it is.
All right.
I will be on color commentary with my man Marsh. I'm definitely looking forward to heading out there to call that game. Definitely excited to see Cooper Flag and Vic Ilgauskas and KSP and Levin Cutler. Just see some good basketball and defensive basketball too. Like Beast of the East, their brand of basketball. But back to the originators. Obviously Cooper Flag was the headline of their offseason. And they returned, Ilgauskas, as I mentioned, who was arguably one of the best defensive big men in the league last season. And they secured commitments from guys like Justin Gavin and Jay Laster. And the additions of Flag and Laster, I feel like, give them even more size and, quite frankly, make them an even more offensively versatile team for this season than what they were last season.
Yeah, and I mean Cooper Flag, like you mentioned, versatile offensive player, really versatile defensive player as well. I think his ability to be athletic and move his feet on defense and recover quickly is going to cover up for what we saw Victorious, exploited for a lot at the end of last year. That if you pulled him out of the paint, he didn't quite have the foot speed to get back and defend the rim. So I think they solved that problem, adding Cooper Flag as well as a lot of offensive firepower. But Beast of the East, man, yeah, they lost Fareed Redmond. They're returning Levin Cutler, Kasim Porter Jr., JoJo Kearney, and they added DeMarco Graham, who I like a lot, a nice 6'10", lanky, athletic big man, good defender. He'll be great depth at that position. And then a guy I'm really excited about, and I know some other people are too, Losi Thomas. He looks like an absolute stud, and you can't forget the defensive stalwart, Isaiah James, just gritty, a dog. He'll do whatever's got to be done to win. And I think all that said, they've had a full offseason together. Most of the team is similar. So I'm actually, because I think the originators are going to have to figure a couple of things out, I'm taking Beast of the East in this one.
Okay, okay, I respect that. I respect that. I mean, this game is obviously going to be must see entertainment without a doubt. And like I said, probably in the case, at least for the early season, game of the year. But I just think originators got a little too much offensive firepower, and a little bit too much size. And I know Beast of the East, they have a little bit more chemistry developed, but my gut's just telling me the originators on this one, and I gotta go with my gut.
Always got to go with the gut. Well, that'll certainly be a great game. But what do we got up next?
We got Queen City and the Yacht Club.
Ooh.
With Queens, this will be definitely an intriguing game because Yacht Club was very active this offseason, but Queen City, they're almost an entirely new looking group from last season. They only returned one player in Sky Durant, and the incoming players are headlined by guys like Xavier and Renzo Bryant and Nick Hugo, who's a Run DMV star last year, and they're looking to improve off a well below 500 finish.
Yeah, and I like what Queen City did and who they brought in, obviously, with Coach Skinny taking over as well. I think it's a great look they got going. And the Yacht Club on the other end, you mentioned they were really active. That they were. Coach last year took no days off this offseason, bringing in De'Aaron Cruz over from Gulf Coast. He kind of is one of those fast guards. Maybe he can do a little bit of what Bianco did last year. Brought in a surprise signing in Xavier Pope. I think that was a big one. No one really expected that, but bring in those two guys. You got Trey Willis still on the roster, Tyshawn Ism, Tamir Johnson. I mean, the list goes on. The list goes on. This team is loaded. The only thing I'll say is I think that they've got kind of a pecking order and they got some things to figure out. Because of that, I think Queen City Kings I think they take this first one. I think they take the game on opening night.
And you know what? This was one I kind of went back and forth on. And honestly, the more I think about it, the more I like Queen City. So that's who I'm going to go with. You know, yeah, I mean, Yacht Club, they're definitely going to be a fast paced run and gun type of offense. But Queen City is definitely going to have a more defensive philosophy than what they did last season. And I think that's definitely going to show. And I think that's definitely going to be what wins them the game against Yacht Club.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see that, but I'm with you on that. I think Queen City, one, because they'll be cohesive. Two, I think Yacht Club's got some things to figure out, but it should be an exciting one anyways.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. And then next up, we got Indy and Lone Star. Now, Indy, obviously, they had a very, headlining off season as well with the addition of Dylan Harper. And, they'll also have a lot of new faces on their sideline this season, but they do return Reza Red. And now, Reza, I feel, can be even more of an impact player for them this year than he was last season. Obviously, with the mess that Indy was last season, it's well known that Reza wasn't really utilized in a way that he could truly show what he could do. And I think this year, you know, with Coach Shirogane, he is going to be able to do so.
Yeah, no, I'm a big believer in Reza Red. I really think by the end of the season, maybe this is a hot take. By the end of the season, we're gonna be talking about him like he's a top five big in SimWorld prep. I think he's got the chops. I think playing with a guy like Dylan Harper is gonna help a lot. He's gonna make the right plays. I really like what Indy has going this year. On the other side, I mean, Lone Star made one of the biggest splashes this offseason, bringing in Arthur Lattimore, bringing him back home from
Big
Seattle, where he was
Daddy
with
Lad.
Cascadia last year. Big Daddy, the King in the Fourth, Arthur Lattimore. That's what they call him. And I really like what I like what Coach Woods did because he went out and got his star. He got his guy. Obviously, Nene Gibson returning. He's a big offensive threat. But once he got Lattimore, he built around him. He went out and got a handful of shooters, guys who can make plays. Like Ronnie Shanahan. Got some really good shooters, like I said, in Trey Bird and Aiden Weaver. So I like that he got his guy and he built around him. So I think that's a recipe for success. But I think in this first game, I'm going to go with my guy Reza and the new stud on Indy's stripes in Dylan Harper, and I'm going to take them to win this one.
Okay, okay. I'm really intrigued to see, how Dylan Harper does against Lone Star's backcourt. I don't think he'll have any problems, but honestly, my gut's telling me Indy on this one too. I feel like Dylan Harper's going to have a big game. Reza's going to really show out, and yeah, I'm feeling Indy on this one too.
All right. Well, we'll see how that goes for him, but I'm excited. Not what do we got next? What do we got next?
So next up, we got Bay Area and Cascadia. So what you got on
Ooh.
Cascadia?
Well, I look. There's a lot to talk about with this matchup. One, let's get the elephant out of the room. You got a couple of heated matchups here. One being the coach matchup between Dre Pope and Isaiah Pope, brothers, the coach of these two teams. So this one always means a little bit more. But man, Cascadia reloaded after losing Arthur Lattimore. Kind of seemed like the sky may be falling once he first left, but brought in Kevon Jackson over from Reigning Trays. Brought in a great name in the recruiting pool in Daniel Irvin. And arguably the biggest name in the recruiting pool, Tyree Wells, who I heard he might have grown a little bit this summer, but I don't know. That could just be in the rumor mill. Someone told me that. But I like what they've got going. And I'll tell you this, J-Rock. Before you tell me a little bit about Bay Area, I'll tell you that Cascadia was my pick to win this game. But at some point today, actually, I heard a little rumor from sources close to Bay Area and close to the Hyman family that Trey actually did a little bit of growing this summer and that he is now a legit 7-footer.
Ooh.
Yeah. Look, like I said with Tyree, rumors are rumors, but I trust the source that this came from. Trey Hyman is supposedly a legit 7-footer, so we're talking about a guy with explosive athleticism. We're talking about a guy with great defensive timing, and when we talk about strong, we talk about Trey Hyman, and he's a legit 7-footer now. If that is true, which I'm going to choose to believe at the moment until I see it for myself, that's scary. So I'm going with Bay Area just for that.
Yeah, I mean, there's barely going to be anybody in the league with his skill set at 7 feet that can guard him. I mean, just let's be honest. Maybe, I mean, you could make the argument for a guy like Ilgauskas, but I mean, he's just too athletic and too fast. But all right, but back to Bay Area, they obviously returned, Trey and Sean. They really locked up all their needs in the commitment period. And I see them, very well balanced and definitely as a championship contender. And I got them winning this matchup too. I like their depth more than I do Cascadia, with guys like, Trey and Sean, and guys they added like Jamie Ramos, Juwan Harris, CJ Rodman, Drew Wiggins, Dime Hardaway. As the game goes on, I think that depth is going to show and eventually win out for them.
Yeah, we're in agreement on that one. And they're at home. They've got a great home arena. So, I mean, that's another just great advantage. But I think we got one more game coming on tonight. What do we got?
We got Beyond the Arch and Heartland Zombie Stars. Now, I've been very hyped on this game, and now I will try and not let my Midwest roots kind of bias my decision here now. But I'm gonna do my best, Siege. But
that's all you can do.
Beyond the Arch, obviously, they lost their franchise guy in Tyson Simpson from last season. However, they do return, the sharpshooter Daniel Ori, and they secured commitments from Johan Nojovic and guys like Paul McAdams, the 7-foot shooting stretch big, the Owens brothers, DeMarcus and Jamonte, and Jerry Bixby, sharpshooting point guard, just to name a few. And with the way their roster is constructed now, I can easily foresee Beyond the Arch being more lethal from long distance and with even more of a spread out scoring balance than what they had last season.
Yeah, I do like the Beyond the Arch team. Noah Jovic is one of my favorite players in the league. I think he was heavily underutilized on that Indy squad last year. And speaking of Indy, Let's talk about Heartland for a sec. It's a family affair over there. Benari James coming over. Robert McGee, another guy who came over from Indy with them. He's a little lesser known, but he's a solid role player, big. And then recently we found out Barkley James, Benari's brother from last year, when that whole thing blew up with Indy, he was kind of at the center of it. He's joined Heartland as well. You got the James brothers over there. Both really, really talented players. Both seem to have matured quite a bit over the offseason. I'm excited to see them go out there and just play basketball. I'm excited to see what this team can do. We heard today Jaquan Johnson got cleared. He's going to be there. He's going to be able to play. I think that's big for them, especially matching up against Paul McAdams. And I like this Heartland team, but I just don't know if Beyond the Arch is going to have the firepower to compete with Benari James, and for that reason, it's Heartland for me.
All right. All right. All right. Now, I'll be honest, as high as I was, as high as I am, and as much as I like Beyond the Arch and a lot of the guys they got and what they did this offseason, I was a little back and forth on this one as well. Obviously, it starts, my concerns started with Heartland's backcourt, Barkley and Benari. And, the backcourt matchup is definitely going to be interesting between those two and then, Ori and Johan. And then, you throw in, Bixby and yeah, I mean, that is going to be a great matchup in the backcourt. But I think what Beyond the Arch is going to do, I think they have a little bit more size than Heartland and a little bit more strength down low, and I think that's going to be their point of attack. And now if Ori and Nojovic can slow Benari and Barkley down just a little bit, I think Beyond the Arch is going to take advantage of the interior game and win the game down low. And for that reason, I'm going to go with Beyond the Arch.
All right. Well, we got a disagreement out here, and we'll see who gets the pick on that one.
And one more thing, and this is my hot take. And now everybody can mark this down and document this, billboard this. This is my hot take for this season thus far. J-Rock Show's first hot take. You ready?
I'm ready.
Beyond the Arch will be even better this year than they were last year. I am calling.
All right. I kind of like it.
I am calling it now. More offensively spread out. Not knocking what they did last year with Tyson Simpson, but they're more offensively spread out. They have even more size, honestly, and that size has even more skill. Like McAdams, he's just as big as what Simpson was. I mean, he can do even more in stretching the floor, and he's only 15. And then the Owens brothers, they've got, multiple years left in SimWorld prep. I think the sky is the limit for Beyond the Arch. So I honestly think they will be better than they were last season. That's the first hot take of the J-Rock Show.
I love it, man. And once again, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, and I'm excited to do this.
Yes, of course, and we are definitely all excited. Make sure you tune in for the opening night slate tonight. Thank you for tuning in to the debut episode of the J-Rock Show. We'll see y'all next week. And obviously, see the game, be the game.